Okay, we're gonna get our laughs out because we're recording. Okay, so, hi everybody.
Hello.
Happy Thanksgiving and all that kind of great stuff. You guys have a good week?
It was short.
It was too short?
It was
You had an entire week off.
Yeah, something like
It
that.
shouldn't feel like it.
Okay, so we agreed, right, last quarter that you all would start piloting Eureka or make plans toward that. So it looks like all of you are 100% on board. And Mr. Coffey, you decided to jump in first. So you want to talk a little bit about how's it going and what module, what grade level, all that kind of stuff?
So we're doing 6th grade, module 2, so 6-2 or 6.2. And we are talking about division of fractions.
Okay.
Pretty much lessons, all of the entire module is based on division of fractions. One thing that I noticed about it is that they use a lot more visual models than the regular book. It's a little frustrating sometimes though, because they do the same thing for 6 lessons. So they're teaching them the same division of fractions, but 6 different ways. And I feel like the kids feel like it's like a different type thing versus it being a part of the same thing or just multiple ways to do the same problem. So it confuses them a little bit in that aspect, but trying to get them, I always try to get them to bring it back to the fact that the entire module is on division of fractions. We're literally just doing division of fractions, and it helps. Trying to also get them to understand the idea that we're cutting fractions is kind of hard too, because we've been using a lot of the tape diagrams, and the tape diagrams we're doing, so for example, we're doing 1/2 divided by 1/3, so trying to figure out what that actually means conceptually.
Yeah.
We did though, initially to kind of get the idea behind it, we learned the method from the other book. We keep the original fraction, change the operation, and then flip the second fraction. So we did learn that so that they can get the answer, and then we just did away with the whole thing and tried to figure out how to figure that out with the models. So they knew what they were working for, and they knew how to, well, they didn't know how to get to it, but they knew what they were working for, so it kind of helped them because they knew what they should have at the end.
So what I'm hearing you say is that, one, there's like multiple methods of dividing fractions. And so Eureka has taken the time to develop each one. Do you see a connectedness between the methods? Are they building upon each one? Are they asking them, in the problem set to, now you've learned 3 methods, put them all together so that student learning doesn't seem, or the students don't feel disjoint?
So I would say that it's very unique in the beginning, so they're very island-like initially. So for example, we're doing division of fractions with whole numbers, then you're doing division of fractions with fractions, then you're doing division of fractions with mixed numbers, then you're doing division of fractions with decimals, and etc. So it builds on in that aspect. It's never really a moment where you use all of them at once. I mean, there is like a problem set on the mid-chapter or the mid-module assessment that kind of have them they use all of them. But other than that, they don't know which one to use for what sometimes, because even though it's telling you how to do division of fractions with mixed numbers, if they're using a word problem to describe this, then the students are not having a great time with that.
Okay, so, and I'm all about the application too, right? Because that's going to give students the motivation for why would you even want to divide fractions in the first place, right? But I do think that in places where, so surely the lessons are intentional, right? But in places where there may not be some intentional connections, I think that I would interject. I think this is when you can kind of adapt a bit and make those connections for the students.
I think we make a lot of connections. I think one of the big things that we're able to do is we all came up with an example of why we would be dividing anything into a fraction. So we had, initially when they switched it, they had a whole number divided by a fraction. It's like, so we decided that we had this entire pot of soup and we wanted to share and we wanted to give everybody 1/3 or 1/5 or whatever the case may be of this soup. How many people can we feed out of this pot? So we were trying to use those kind of applications. These kids are not used to sharing, so they really get that much. It's like, I'm just gonna get the whole pot
They're
myself.
learning some life lessons too, right?
And then we also tried to do that with a pizza. And then the pizza I did kind of works in normal fractions, but it doesn't really work in
So let's talk
division of
about an
fractions.
example, because I think I saw you teach that lesson. He was teaching something about like there was like 6 out of the 8 pieces that were left over in one pizza, and I think 5 out of 8 pieces were left over, and so now we want to share that equally with like half the class or something like that.
Yeah, so just the way that the problem, and it was really confusing trying to find like an example that would be related to the whole pizza idea. Well, first of all, it was hard to find an example
Can you
that
move that a little bit so that they can see Mr. Coffee?
it was kind of related. It was really hard to relate the actual math problem and the application of it because it didn't make sense in a way that we normally look at it. So instead, they said that we had 2/3 of a pizza left, and we're going to divide this 2/3 of a pizza, or 2/3. The fraction is 2/3, and we're going to divide it into 1/8. So it's kind of hard because then when I tell kids, "Oh, we have a pizza," they're like, "Why don't everybody just get a piece?" Or it's like, you know.
If only.
Right. So it's like, so I'm trying to conveniently think of ways where all of the people don't get a slice of pizza, and it was really difficult trying to explain to them.
Sure.
You have pieces of a pizza. You know?
Right.
So trying to explain it to them was like, okay, so this is not a full pizza and neither is this one.
Right.
And everybody needs to get a piece of that. So we're talking about a piece of a piece of a pizza. So it was...
What about, did they have any scenarios around like, I've got this recipe, right, that calls for 2/3 cups of sugar. And so now I only want to make half of the recipe.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they have some things like that.
Or maybe I want to make 3 batches and divide it among 8 classrooms. I mean, it could be something like that where...
Yeah.
And how much is each classroom gonna get? I mean, like...
Yeah.
It's a bit contrived, but it does, I mean, it kind of works, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, yeah.
Okay.
And we definitely did the recipe one, but none of them were just cut and dry as
Okay.
1/3 of a recipe. I was hoping for one of those, but it
So let's
wasn't.
talk about a couple more things. So let's talk about the structure. So for 3-5, the structure for a lesson is they have a sprint. They have some opening problems that they do, like an opening problem. They have like an application problem.
Would that be like the bell ringer, or
It would
because
be.
I've heard talk of these.
So, yeah. So,
Right. So which is a little bit different for 6-8. And you know, you guys are 6-8 teams, so 3-5 has this structure of here's your bell ringer, and we can look it up together, and we'll go online in just a minute. They have the structure of here's this bell ringer, here's the sprint, and you've heard about what a sprint is, right? And it's that building of fluency for the students. We want them to be automatic with, let's say, multiplying numbers, or sign numbers in your case. So it has like this whole, like, here's your fluency practice, okay? Then it has your application problem. So they present them right away with an application problem that is applicable to what either they're getting ready to learn or what they did learn before. So it's kind of like this review, preview kind of approach.
It gives a good spiral. It does.
Yeah. And you're noticing that in 6th grade. Then it has like the core lesson, the conceptual development, like this is your bread and butter. Has a bit of a script there, It's not meant for you to say every line. It's meant for you to have a sense of how the lesson could go, the interaction between the teacher and the student. You would internalize that, of course, and make that your own. And then after that, it goes right into a problem set where we want students to now practice what they just learned. But what I like about Eureka is that they also have this student debrief piece. So like, I do want you to work on the practice problems a bit from the lesson, but now I want you to talk about what it is that you just practiced, you just engaged in, piece of the lesson. And then every lesson, of course, has an exit ticket, and then there is an intentional homework assignment.
So it's
Yeah,
definitely,
what are you seeing in
definitely
sixth grade?
different from that.
The structure is a little different.
The
okay.
structure is super different.
Okay, okay.
One thing that I noticed immediately is that there are like 3 or 4 sprints for the entire module.
Except
And
for a
there's
sprint for
2
each
for
one.
8th grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And there's only 2 for the whole module for 8th grade?
For
Oh, boy.
all of 8th grade.
for all of
For the
eighth
whole
grade,
thing.
yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, we have to look at that again. Okay, and then I think today,
We saw, I wanna say 2 or 3 for that specific module. There was
Right,
more
it-
that